This is the video that I wanted to watch. So during the IGN showcase live stream, the Hogwarts Legacy director answered some of the questions. Now, I've already seen some content creators who I follow who cover the Hogwarts Legacy news, pretty much covering these topics and answering these questions. But I just kind of wanted to see it for myself and see what this was about. Like, I'm not sure if this is like a direct interview or a recap, but I'd like to watch it before we start playing today. Let me just check the sound. Okay, that might be a little too loud. Let me just turn it down. There we go.
Become the witch or wizard you want to be as you leave your unique mark on the wizarding world. Here, in Hogwarts Legacy.
What's up, wizards,
Okay,
witches,
cool.
and
This
muggles?
is an
I'm Damon
interview.
Hagfield, and I'm here with Alan Tu,
Awesome.
the game director on Hogwarts Legacy. Welcome to IGN Fan Fest.
Yo, I can imagine he must be feeling so proud and accomplished of everything that the game has managed to do in the past like couple of weeks. It's insane.
Hi, happy to be here.
So how does it feel to finally have this game out in the wild?
It feels a little bit surreal. We've been working on this for a really long time. Yeah, but
Looks like it.
but I'm kind of in proud papa mode. I'm really happy with the team, and this was a real labor of love for us to the fans. And so it's kind of an exciting to finally see them be able to interact with it and to start kind of like seeing what the reaction is from everybody that we made this for.
Yeah, I can imagine. So Hogwarts Legacy takes place in the late 18th.
Honestly, I hope that this interview is actually going to touch on the actual game and not, the usual stuff that we've been dealing with all over social media. I hope that they're actually gonna talk gameplay and not controversies.
1800s, which is as far back as we've seen a story go in the wizarding world. What are the most notable ways the game expands on the lore of this world?
I'd say right up front, people are going to notice the different faculty, different students. There are some familiar faces just because of the nature of the property. So Nearly Headless Nick or the Red Baron, like different ghosts from the environment. Peeves is in the castle, so fans can look forward to seeing Peeves, who wasn't.
Yeah, when you think about it, like when you see Peeves like in the movies or in the game, like he is such an immature, childish character, and when you think about it, Peeves is like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds years old. How wild is that?
Didn't appear in the movies, but was in the books of Poltergeist. That
Might be
haunts
too
the school.
quiet.
I'd say the biggest difference is Headmaster Black. I think we were a little bit mischievous in choosing this time period. We're all familiar with Dumbledore being kind of like the kind figure at Hogwarts that kind of takes Harry under his wing at really important moments. And Headmaster Black is almost the polar opposite of Dumbledore.
I think it's great that they put in Black as the headmaster because you're getting like a different vibe from Hogwarts. Like Black is not as bad as I want to say like Umbridge, but at the same time, it's not the Hogwarts that like through the movies and whatnot, and you don't feel like this you don't feel like it's this safe environment just because the headmaster is there. Like the students don't rely on him as kind of the, I want to say, parental figure in a way.
He's voiced by Simon Pegg, and he's known in lore as the least popular headmaster the school has ever had. And we just said, okay, that sounds fun. Let's put it in that time.
So while the game is set long before the mainline Harry Potter series, it's actually only about 30 years before the Fantastic Beasts series. Are there any references to those movies in the game?
Not specifically, although there are lots of creatures, like basically.
Like there's the bag, like the way you like capture beasts and whatnot. Like I guess that was kind of like the prototype of what Newt's bag would later come to be.
So the different ways that those movies expanded lore, we tried to embrace all those elements because anything that we could do to kind of create touch points of authenticity. But then also be able to interact with things that you've seen in any of the work in the wizarding world was something that we wholeheartedly embraced.
Well, since this is FanFest, we sent out some owls, and they've brought back a few questions from our audience. Starting off with a question from Jartasm. In the game, you kill countless people and creatures. How are you still a good guy?
I think, like other video games, there's a little bit of suspension of disbelief. We're really keen to make sure that who the bad guys are definitely feel like the bad guys, and they're the only ones that you're engaging with combat.
It is a little strange because you are still kind of a student and you want to feel like you're not actually breaking these rules, especially if you're the kind of person, I guess, who chose to not learn the like the unforgivable, the spells, the curses. It's like all the spells that you use, you would like to believe that they are like incapacitating people rather than killing them, because I want to assume that like if there's a, you know, a 15-year-old going around fighting poachers, if they are actually out there being a vigilante and taking lives, wouldn't they be at least somewhat responsible for this? Also, hi Luke, welcome back, what's up?
Um, we obviously venture into like forgivable curses, and for us it was just important for that to feel a little bit different. So there are things that kind of soften the blow of combat in our game, you know, like the way that bodies kind of wisp away or that type of thing. But they kind of fit within what fans will know from other games. But I think with unforgivable curses in particular, it was really important for us to make sure that fans could dabble with it, that they could experiment with what that meant.
So I haven't gotten that far in the actual story, and I'm not really sure if like if these curses, like what the effect is, like if you kill someone with like, I don't know, Vada Cadaver, like do they like drop dead? Are they like a corpse on the ground that actually doesn't disappear but it's there for you to see that they died or whatever? I'm not actually looking for an answer. I'm just like speculating as I haven't gotten to that part yet. Maybe today.
And then they're handled with a lot of care in the quest structure, just to make sure that the gravity of them and the feeling of them felt correct according to the world. So I think whatever you experience maybe fits within the normal range of games, but when you dabble into the unforgivable curses, we try to make sure that the world was reflecting back the way you would expect it to, given the gravity of those spells.
I don't know, that this is not something that I felt with the unforgivable curses. I expected somewhat of a reaction, especially when I was, I think yesterday I had this like quest or mission or whatever with Professor Fig, and we were around a castle where we were supposed to start. I think it was the second trial or whatever. So what happens is I'm there casting the Cruciatus curse, and like the professor is not even telling me anything. Like there was no verbal reaction, not that I've noticed. If there was, and I just like failed to notice, I do apologize. But I was paying attention to it, and I think I commented on it on stream. And I want to test these interactions to see like if you like when you use these like unforgivable curses or whatever, like are any of the professors gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, it's like, are any one of them going to like ask me about it or no?
And Del Treasure asks, what is your favorite area in the game?
I really adore the common rooms. Some of them have never been seen before. And there's something about, you know, I'm a proud Ravenclaw, and so I've got my Ravenclaw pride. If you catch me, I'll go straight to, you know, I am a Ravenclaw, and I get to my common room and I love it. But I played the game as every house, and whenever I imagine coming in, each one has something kind of special and unique about it. And every single time I come to the common room in the game, the music hits you, design special music.
It's nice because they actually contributed to the common rooms, making you feel this house identity. And right now I'm playing as a Slytherin, and it just really helps me just kind of fit into the role. And the common room is everything that I've wanted it to be, and I'm actually really looking forward to making more characters to see them. I've seen like bits and pieces like throughout the videos, but I just kind of want to experience it for myself.
There's like a certain nostalgia that it hits, a certain magic that it hits, and as you sit in there and you kind of go, oh, I'm finally here. It's kind of an incredible feeling.
Yeah. So players in Hogwarts Legacy each get their very own room of requirement to do with as they will. As you shared with us a look at yours, we've been digging through it, and we'd like to ask you a little bit about it.
Okay. So in my room of requirement, I wound up discovering the importance of lights, you know, if you're going with a dark setting, but also the power of lights. So even though the daylight stuff is very naturally, intuitively likable, I love being able to highlight different things with the lamps in the setup.
See, this is something that I haven't really been like doing at all, and that's kind of surprising because this is something that I do in Final Fantasy 14, like in housing. I normally keep my rooms and like apartments and whatnot like very very dark, and then I choose like the special lamps. Like I have one in my FC house like room that like spins around and gives off like this purple light and vibe, and it's really really cool. And I didn't really pay that much attention, I guess, to what's been happening in Room of Requirement, and I'm gonna have to put on more lamps.
And coming in, I really wanted like a big centerpiece that would kind of catch your eye, which is the unicorn right up front. And then as I go along, you'll see on the right side, I tried to set up sort of like a gaming corner. That's more of a vibe place. Here we've got the desk of description, which is how you identify different kind of unknown gear throughout the course of the game. You'll keep coming back to the Room of Requirement in order to figure out exactly what the gear that you've earned in the game does.
Yeah, a lot of these things I don't even own yet, so I guess I'm yet to decorate this room.
But I wanted that to feel like a real study area. In the loom area, I wanted a real kind of, that's where you're kind of tweaking your gear. So I wanted kind of like this fashion thing. I've got the little, I don't know what they're called. The little thing that kind of like hides you privacy, and the panels, and then the mannequins. And then this was sort of my lounge area where everything's just kind of chill, and you can see the animating portraits on the walls that I put up. And all that was just to kind of like vibe out. There are different vivariums that will unlock over the course of the game that you wind up bringing your magical creatures to.
Well, it seems like there's a real incredible attention to detail. How much of the space is customizable, and how do players go about, filling that space?
Yeah, the space, like the floors, the walls, all those have different kind of presets that are immediately accessible. So you can change the ceiling, change the
I wonder
lighting
if there's
in the
more
room,
to unlock
and get a different look right away. And then all of the objects inside of it that you can hang on the walls, the banners, the carpeting, and the different objects that you see inside of it can all be scaled and placed and put wherever you want. In the game, we have, I think in development, we refer to them as recipes, conjuration recipes, but I think in the game, they're forward-facing as spellcrafts. Those are things that you earn a few different ways. There's a shop called Tomes and Scrolls in Hogsmeade where you can purchase different conjurations. A lot of those are really focused on practical items though, which you're seeing right here. These are the different planter tables where you're growing different seeds for magical plants that can be used either as potion ingredients or even in combat. But a bunch of the other spellcrafts for the decorations, those are things that you will discover in something that we call either as rewards for completing your field guide or things that we call collection chests in the game, which we kind of keep track of on your map as you're going through the game. There are a few different types of collections too. It's kind of a...
Honestly, I think this is probably the greatest galleon sinkhole or whatever. It's like, I guess as you're finishing up the game, you are not scraping for resources, but you don't really have all of these elements and whatnot. And as you're getting there, like as you're like trying to like decorate all of these things and just make sure that you have like all of this like production set up or whatever, I think this is something that takes the most amount of money because the recipes are actually not that cheap at all. So I haven't bought any of them as well, not any of them. Some of them I've bought, but I don't really use them all that much.
A nice tip for everybody that not all the collection chests are tracked. There are a few conjurations that you can find in each of the vivariums. I think each of the vivariums are hiding 3 collection chests in each of them.
I see.
And then there's also a kind of special event out in the Highlands where you can track these kind of magical butterflies through the environment that also lead to conjuration chests. But I feel like that's useful for folks to know because we track
that
everything
is useful.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're seeing a lot of craftable and consumable potions in there. What would you say is the best way to optimize the Room of Requirement for use as a resource during gameplay?
Yeah, I feel like that varies a little bit. This one you'll see like a little bit between aesthetic and usage, but I've got all the plants, which many of them feed into the potions on the right. And a lot of that is just kind of, we have small planter tables, we've got medium planters, and we've got large planters, and different seeds fit in different things. But mostly there's a limit to the number you can have, and then the players can earn enough money to kind of buy planter tables of different sizes. So to begin with, you might have one just with like 3, but they can get up to sizes of 5 for small planter tables. Then that's just an increasing cost. So it's kind of up to gamers how they want to approach it. If they really just kind of want to ramp up their production quickly, they can go with the increasing sized ones. Or if they're a little bit like me, I save and just go straight for the big planter tables.
Like you're providing some real pro tips here.
Yeah.
Like straight from the game director.
Awesome.
As for the beasts, how important is it to play with various beasts, interact with them throughout the game?
Interacting with them, playing with them, that's how you gather beast byproducts, things like feathers and different things. So you always...
What the hell is a toy chest? I haven't even unlocked this. I don't know what that is. But honestly, like for now, I haven't really been using, like, I guess potions and plants and whatnot as resources. That's probably my bad. But when it comes to beasts, like each one being able to provide something that you will use like as an upgrade for your clothing, that to me is so cool. And I'm glad that that's like actually being incorporated into gameplay, that it's not just like a collection of your beasts that are there for nothing, but you're actually inclined and motivated to go and find them.
Whenever you come in, you'll want to feed and brush your beasts. You play with them. You can see this kind of play. The little fella, we had a little accident in there as we're moving stuff around. But over each of the creatures, you'll see kind of like a heart and the knife and fork there, and that represents whether or not they're well fed and happy. And so you'll brush them and you will feed them whenever you enter, and each time you do that, you'll be able to extract another byproduct. And there's a timer that sits on them before you might do it again, just that you're not just kind of sitting there hammering on it. And you also have reasons to return back. But yeah, that simple task of just kind of brushing and feeding is how you wind up getting the resources you need to feed into the loom.
Well, it looks like that's about all the time we have here. Thank you again, Alan, for stopping by, chatting Hogwarts Legacy and all things Wizarding World with us. You can play Hogwarts Legacy now on Xbox Series X and S, PC, and PlayStation 5, and later this year on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch.
Honestly, this was a good little interview. I was hoping that they would answer some more questions, but I guess the time was limited and whatnot. But I'm glad that at least they showcased a little bit of gameplay and actually made it more useful for players than I thought it would be. I thought that it was just gonna be like an opinion thing, but instead they actually gave some tips, which I think is really cool. Because I like how the advertisement for games is turning from just, hey, this game is pretty, you should buy it, to the like social media managers, game developers and whatnot actually going out of their way to go on social media, on like podcasts like this and whatnot, to give useful tips and knowledge. You just kind of feel more, I guess, engaged, more taken care of as a player, and more inclined to play, I guess, because you feel like the whole thing is less overwhelming as you're picking up like little bits and pieces of knowledge that you can later use. This was a good video.